What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Late night crypto talk. Bitcoin Brandon here. I got so busy, caught up in work, I forgot the time. Said, "Oh, let me get this in before I get into my next project." May Taylor says, "What's this? This is Crypto Talk, May." Welcome if this is your very first time listening. Thank you for listening. We give cryptocurrency information and training. We'll be getting started in a second here. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Anicia, what's happening, Mr. Keen? What's going on, Christy? How you doing, Shane? What's going on, Erica? Hope you guys had a good weekend so far, getting ready for the new week. You know what, Christy, I need to make sure I add these to the Bitcoin Diva group as well. So let me make sure I do that. Good evening, Abigail. Amos is right on time, right? Tell him to hold off. What's going on, Mr. Batista? Good evening, Anthony. Of course, my computer is running slow. Computer technology for you. How you doing, Mary? What's going on, Gerald from Detroit? Bitcoin Divas. Why is that not popping up here? Huh. I'm curious. Yes, I am a member. What's going on, Nicole? Thank you, Christy, but I still want to be able to, when I hit the share button, I should be able to add that group just like I do all the others. There it is. There we go. All right. Computer was playing tricks on me. All right, let's go ahead and get things started and kicked off here. Cut the beat off. We have a couple of articles we're going to cover tonight. The first one being the city of Berkeley, California considers doing cryptocurrency ICO. This is interesting. I love covering what the cities and states individually, how they're attacking and doing crypto. And Jeremy, if you've got any other, go ahead and add to that list as well. You know, any other topics there. So let me put this in the chat box. The link to this article. You can either read it yourself or listen along while I cover this. The city of Berkeley, the famed hub of American 1960s radicalism and counterculture, Berkeley, California is at it again. Dormant for a few years, the U.S. presidency of Donald Trump has awoken defiant spirits as the city challenges administration policy over everything from immigration to taxation. One tool of resistance under consideration is an ICO in creation of the city's very own token. Now this I've never heard of before. A city creating its own token. Berkeley City Council member Ben Bartlett stressed, Berkeley is the center of the resistance, and for the resistance to work, it must have a coin. Well, so what is this? Berkeley's trying to be Tatooine? Going up against the Empire? The Death Star of Donald Trump? This is interesting. The resistance he spoke of has to do with the Trump administration and its singling out of the local university over campus speech issues, along with threatening to defund sanctuary cities which decriminalize illegal immigrants, of which Berkeley is considered a leader. The coin would be floated as a kind of municipal bond at first, targeted through an initial coin offering aimed at funding housing for the city's homeless. Mr. Bartlett continued, "You're looking at a disaster. We thought we'd pull together the experts and find a way to finance affordable housing ourselves." I think I saw this on the news the other day. They were complaining that Los Angeles puts homeless on a bus up north, a one-way ticket to Berkeley, and they're trying to solve the homeless problem. So Donald Trump tweeted, "If UC Berkeley does not allow free speech and practices violence on innocent people with a different point of view, no federal funds." I didn't know that Berkeley was not allowing free speech. I thought that they were the ones running their mouths the most about it. Fear of immigration crackdowns, a reconstituted tax bill, the city worries will impact it negatively. Mr. Bartlett has managed to get the city's mayor on board the ICO idea. The city will partner with Neighborly and its UC Berkeley Blockchain Lab. There's a UC Berkeley Blockchain Lab? I didn't know that. To push the project forward with a possible rollout by May. Unlike most of the ICOs which deliver coins for a future value or service, these coins will represent a real security issued for a specific purpose. Neighborly COO Kiran Jain explained, "A local token is seen, beyond housing concerns, as a hedge against Trump administration actions as a whole," Mr. Bartlett said. "The city fully expects its budget to be impacted by federal cuts simply due to Berkeley's role in openly fighting Mr. Trump's policies on so many levels." So Donald Trump tweeted again. "First, the Ninth Circuit rules against the ban, and now it hits again on sanctuary cities, both ridiculous rulings. See you in the Supreme Court." So here's a match made in heaven. And ever two things were meant for one another. It's cryptocurrency and Berkeley. Known for its radical political leaning since the 1960s, it is home to experiments in all kinds of living. For progressive communities like it, the federal government has been a political apparatus they wish to capture and put to use. In areas such as civil rights, for example, blanket, robust federal enforcement was seen as ideal to make sure citizens were protected from Pacific to Atlantic. Other political philosophies warned how empowering the federal or national government to overwhelm local communities for the greater good, even in the service of racial equality, was a dangerous bargain. What would be to stop it from doing the same in the opposite direction? Should it begin to enforce a national or federal policy those in Berkeley didn't admire? The United States, prior to the early 60s, federal legislation in this regard practiced something known as states' rights, the ability for states to effectively nullify federal overreach. States' rights and nullification during the 60s were considered code to protect racists who desired to keep ethnic minorities as second-class citizens. You know what I always wondered about? People that were adults during the 50s and 60s that were racists, a lot of them are still alive today. I mean, when you watch old film of the civil rights movement and you see the racism that was going on, the discrimination, how people treated their fellow Americans because of the color of their skin, and you look back on that and like, how in the world those people are still alive today? You just don't hear. Do they still believe the same way? Is it, I always wondered that, closet racism. Anyways, and the federal government was employed several times to enforce social engineering schemes, from desegregation of public schools through busing to making sure business, commercial arrangements were also race neutral. The national government could wield this power through the purse. Oh, your state or locality doesn't want to obey our latest mandate? Great. No federal funding for education, for roads, for this or that. And some of these subsidies were quite substantial. Well, that's what Donald Trump is saying. If you don't do what I want you to do, we're going to pull federal funding. Communities were arm-twisted to accept federal standards, not just on the civil rights front, but from environmental concerns to even automobile speed limits. And since nullification and states' rights enshrined in the country's last amendment in the Bill of Rights went out of vogue, locals became resigned to their fate. Present-day political realities unearthed nullification and states' rights without calling it that. Stoners, potheads, heshers, and sexual minorities found those tools and set about statewide referendums. Their successes are undeniable. Hardly anyone bats an eye at gay married couples anymore, and more states each election cycle are either decriminalizing recreational marijuana or legalizing it altogether. The city of Berkeley is another battle on the nullification front, and crypto could be its killer app. The addition of a tokenization could very well signal another way around more odious federal dictums, and at least one other major U.S. state is said to be flirting with the idea. That's interesting. So we've covered so far Wyoming, Arizona, and now Berkeley, California. Berkeley, if you guys have ever been there, California is so big. I mean, there's more people in the state of California than in Canada. And it can literally be split into two states. You've got Northern California, you've got Southern California. San Diego and LA is a different world from San Francisco, the Bay Area. And then you've got a different world even north of that. The farm country. Completely different. You go to like Oakland, it's like an East Coast transplant in the West. Different culture than Los Angeles. So this is interesting to see how this plays out. Alright, let's talk about this next article here. RBC researcher reveals correlation between Bitcoin and gold. Bitcoin and gold. Yeah, I've been to Berkeley a lot. Berkeley, it's like I'm in a different world. I think the first time I went up there was a basketball tournament. Basketball tournament and track. Back in the 90s. And I was like, what in the world? It's like West Hollywood. Those in California know what I'm talking about. Alright, let me post this link here. So RBC researcher reveals correlation between Bitcoin and gold. Now, the correlation may finally have been found, at least according to research by the global investment bank RBC Capital Markets, led by Chris Looney. In an interview with CNBC, The researcher stated that the research highlights a trend between gold and Bitcoin prices. Looney, a commodity analyst at RBC, said that initially it was very difficult for him and his colleagues to plot a trend because Bitcoin has been around for only a brief period as compared with gold or any other traded commodity. When we examine how markets look at Bitcoin and gold, we saw a lot of preconceived notions driving the theories around the relationship between the two. What we did is pull together what data we had and compared that to gold. However, things began to change at the end of 2017 when he carefully observed his data points and the correlation turned somewhat negative. This turn was also the time when Bitcoin prices were at a record high and trading near $20,000. The research not only included trading data points, but also analyzed Google search trends for the keyword Bitcoin. To add, Looney stated, when we saw interest in Bitcoin peak as measured by Google Trends, that's really when we saw this marginal negative relationship between gold and Bitcoin develop. At press time, Bitcoin prices have taken a steep dive along with the stock market. Under more optimistic markets, investors tend to allocate more of their funds into equity, but when such a bull market takes a significant correction or turns bearish, investors begin looking at gold as a safer investment. You know what? That's only true if the value of Bitcoin is being seen threatened to go below gold. Right now, Bitcoin is still like 3 times worth more than gold is. So unless you start seeing that sucker drop below $5,000 I would still put it in Bitcoin. Such behavior is how gold is viewed to have an inverse price relation with stocks in a bear market. Looney remarked that he was surprised how gold was not performing well. Had someone told him of a major price correction in the equity markets, he would have pushed for a higher price in gold. Okay, here's why. Here's why. The people need to understand how technology is. The flash crash this week in the markets was not based on people reacting emotionally to events happening around the world or Donald Trump. It was all electronic. It was all the bots talking to each other and trading against each other. And they do these in microseconds, reacting to each other. So if you had human intervention here, and I'm shocked that the circuit breakers didn't take an effect. I don't know why that didn't happen. I saw an article about that. I need to go back and find that to prevent it from dropping 1,500 points in 10 minutes. But it was the technology that was doing it. See, if human intervention happened, then people naturally will say, not only did they sell their stock, they would have sold their stock and put that wealth into gold. That's how it traditionally happens. That wasn't the case this time. There was just a sell-off with no major movement of that sell-off into any other market. Because gold went down and so did crypto, all of it. And all of them went down at the same time. Normally, when one goes down, the other goes up. But that didn't happen this time, which is going to bring back a new trend to follow. We're in new territory here because crypto's in the game. So some believe that the ongoing correction in the crypto market is more or less a result of high selling in the stock markets. Conversely, analysts have contradicting views on whether this is a major correction for Bitcoin or if there exists significant selling pressure. According to another article by Forbes, people see Bitcoin as digital gold and as a safe investment. That's true. What is of interest to technological geniuses here, though, is the underlying technology that is the backbone of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. It's called the blockchains. They have become a hotbed of innovation as governments and non-government organizations across the world have started to adopt it. In other words, guys, there's no such thing as an expert out there that's going to be able to predict exactly what's going to happen next. We are in uncharted territory. And it's amazing to be in. Now, if you're educated, you can minimize your risk. and minimize what to do. But in the crypto space, here's one fundamental rule of thumb. Do not buy high and do not sell low. I mean, if you can figure that out, you'll survive. What happened in December? All of a sudden, people had FOMO, fear of missing out. They saw crypto jump from 3,000 to 8,000 in like weeks. And they figured, I got to get in on it. Then it jumped from 8,000 to 12,000, then from 12,000 to 19,000. And people started buying when it was at 14,000, 15,000, 16,000, all the way up. Then when the market corrected itself and started to drop, those same people who have no education of this space, no knowledge of the history, no knowledge of previous trends, started to panic because the news said that the bubble is popping, and they started to sell on the dip. That's when you lose. I'm going to give you some free educational information. That's part of our education platform. Here's some free information. If you get emotional and you decide, oh, I can't handle it, I can't handle it, don't sell. Just move it into Tether, which is USDT. Just move your wealth from Bitcoin to Tether and sit there. Watch the Bitcoin market drop until it starts to bottom out. Then move it back into Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency. Now, you still have your same wealth value and more coins. And when it starts to go back up, you're going to make a killing. That's some free... Oh, and let me say this, I forgot. I am not a licensed, disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor to be dispensing financial advice. I read the news, share my opinion, and give suggestions. And you take that information and do your own research and make your own decisions. You are an adult. But I just gave you a golden nugget there that made me a whole lot of money by doing that technique without having to sell. The only way you lose is when you sell. All right, the last article I'm going to cover is, let's look forward to this upcoming week. This is the week ahead in crypto. February 12th, we've got conferences, news, and a market rebound expected for this week. So let me put this in the chat box. This week ahead in crypto. Every week, there are exciting events impacting the cryptocurrency markets. And these waves of hype lead to positive and negative sentiment. The week beginning February 12th has many positive events that should boost confidence in a market that has had recent setbacks. A calendar stacked with 5 conferences in 7 days demonstrate the sheer interest and publicity that will be produced in the next week. So here's the week. February 12th. The cryptocurrency events and conferences dominate the week straight through the weekend, from St. Petersburg, Russia, to Calgary, to Silicon Valley, to the second Dubai conference in 30 days, to Acapulco, and then back to the Dallas Super Conference and their sold-out soft fork. The upcoming week holds major positive sentiment events. And I wish I was at the Dallas event. I was planning on going and canceled that in early January. I didn't know that we would be where we are right now, because if I did, I would put it back on, but it's sold out. But that's one event I'm regretting that I'm missing. Cryptocurrencies overreact to both positive and negative news. This is why hacks, where less than 1% of the total crypto market cap is stolen, can cause the market to correct 5%. Crypto markets love to overreact to negative news, but similarly, they overreact to positive events. A week of positive conferences shall provide the crypto markets an important catalyst to continue their rebound. This is the shot in the arm. The beginning of January was full of FUD, heading straight into the beginning of February, where Bitcoin lost over 60% of its value from its December high and rebounded since the bottom of just under $6,000 per coin. This week should see BTC and the entire crypto markets yield above average returns as we have major conferences on 3 continents, each hosting thousands of individuals. St. Petersburg is hosting a blockchain conference beginning February 13th. Russia is one of the greater proponents of the technology sector, especially blockchain. We have Calgary, a blockchain event that has been under the radar until recently, has the 2018 Blockchain and Machine Learning in Oil and Gas Canada. The event is being held in Calgary, Alberta, and is being hosted and attended by the biggest names in both blockchain and oil and gas. Honeywell is sponsoring with registered and presenting companies including the likes of Shell, General Electric, Honeywell, Devon Energy, and many tech entrepreneurs in the blockchain sector. This conference is February 13th and 14th. Then you've got Dubai. The Dubai FX Cryptocurrency ICO Conference and Expo is February 16th and February 17th. They are already completely sold out of visitor passes and expect more than 1,500 attendees. What is even more surprising is this is Dubai's second blockchain conference in under 1 month. The conference is focused less on the specific technology of the blockchain and more focused on Forex, foreign exchange of fiat currencies along with ICOs. China and Europe have seen a huge number of ICOs, with the United States finally catching up but lagging due to SEC regulations. Dubai and much of the Middle East is yet to become heavily invested in cryptocurrencies, and 2 major conventions in 1 month demonstrate their building desire to enter these markets. Dallas, the conference that is generating more publicity than the other 4 combined, is Dallas. The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and blockchain super conference. If you're in Texas and you're in the crypto space, you need to be at this event. This is a must-attend event. Maybe it is because this event is in the United States, or because they plan on having the most public attendees. It may be because their main venue sold out almost a month in advance, with tickets going for over $500, and the South Fork being an entirely second venue that was added solely because so many BTC enthusiasts had planned to come in, but the main venue had already sold out. Regardless of why this event is generating so much publicity, the reality is this is very positive news for the cryptocurrency markets. It demonstrates the interest is as high as ever, and thousands of attendees are going to be educated about cryptos for the first time, while many others continue to receive the exposure they have desired. The Super Conference in Dallas is the largest of the conferences this week and will be taking place from February 16th to the 18th. The list of presenters includes the now infamous and sometimes outlandish but always entertaining John McAfee. Then you have Tim Draper from Draper Associates and Draper University will be presenting, along with the founder and CEO of Shapeshift. This conference is bringing the biggest names in the blockchain industry together for a true mega conference. Man, oh man, I need to be there. The name is fitting, as it truly will be a super conference. Cryptos that will be hosting, presenting, or sponsoring in some form include Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dash, Zcash, Monero, and Stratus, along with many of the smaller market cap coins. The publicity the Super Conference provides the blockchain community can easily surpass the rest of the major conferences combined. Now, next you have Acapulco. While all eyes are on Dallas, the true financial revolutionaries will be meeting in Acapulco. Once again, the conference is cleverly named Anarchapulco, like anarchy, 2018. This will be the 4th annual conference and, not surprisingly, has been sold out for weeks. Although Dallas will be the headliner this weekend, Acapulco will not be forgotten, nor should it be looked at as a second-tier convention. The biggest public names will be at the Dallas convention, but the most important individuals in the blockchain technology sector will be in Acapulco. Silicon Valley, the final conference of the week, and likely the one that will receive the least publicity, although its importance is significant, takes place in Silicon Valley. Exploring the future of fintech, ICOs, blockchain, sharing economy, Future of Work and Disruptive Culture. This conference takes place February 15th to the 18th with a $100,000 ICO pitch competition. The headliners at this conference are not founders of top coins or names the layman would like to know, like John McAfee. However, this is a conference regarding technology being held for those interested in being blockchain developers and leaders in the ICO realm. The full conference ticket costs $395 with an additional $5,000 required if your team is to be considered for the ICO competition. Silicon Valley, although not the conference for the anarchists or the general public, this is where the nerds are going to be, all right? All the nerds are going to be in Silicon Valley. All right, the conclusion is having conferences on 3 continents and 4 countries in under 7 days with attendees that include the likes of Shell demonstrate how truly significant blockchain technology is becoming. The blockchain is not a fad from 2008 that is slowly fading. It has solidified itself as a technology that will slowly penetrate all forms of industry as it is the safest, cheapest, and most transparent way to transact. And just an FYI, the media will not call it blockchain. The banks and the government will not call it blockchain. They will call it DLT, Distributed Ledger Technology. So don't be like all of those people who hate Obamacare but love the Affordable Care Act because they don't even know it's the same doggone thing. DLT is the same as a blockchain. Don't get it twisted. Don't let them fool you with their talking points. Be educated to know when you hear DLT, Distributed Ledger Technology, that means blockchain. Someone says, why do they use a different name? Because to most people, when you think of blockchain, you think of Bitcoin. The banks and the government don't want you thinking of Bitcoin. So they're not going to use the word blockchain. They're going to use Distributed Ledger Technology. That's some free education there. So for those of you who believe Bitcoin is dead, look at the conference calendars. The sentiment is about to change as the rebound has already begun. The upcoming week looks exceptionally positive for Bitcoin. In other words, now is the time to buy, because it's expected that it's going to rise in price this week. So the bottom of the price dip was touched at just under $6,000 for Bitcoin, and the momentum should push the price of Bitcoin above $9,000 heading through the week of conferences. The King's prediction is the week beginning February 12th, 2018 will be one led by a BTC recovery, coupled with an entire rise in the cryptocurrency markets, correlating to BTC's overall gains. The altcoins usually gain more when Bitcoin recovers and lose more when it corrects. Having Bitcoin's recovery already begun, and a week of conference should provide all the proper catalysts to see the cryptocurrency pierce $9,000 and possibly back over $10,000. How about that? So this is an exciting week when it comes to what's going to happen in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space. And if you are, again, a cryptocurrency enthusiast, if you're looking at this as your profession like I do, then you definitely want to take full advantage of all Bitcoin and crypto events that take place around the world. You always want to be learning. Learning. So whenever there's events that's taking place, you want to be at them. Looking into probably the second half of this year, I will have on my travel calendar to be at as many blockchain events as I can, not just around the country, but I'm going to look at being around the world. Why? This is my profession. You've got to know and be prepared what's going on in your profession, because what happens somewhere else is going to affect all of us. It's going to affect us. So we've got to be informed in what's taking place. Now, the event I am scheduled to be at is the Blockchain Expo in London, April 18th and 19th. the Blockchain Expo. I think that's a Tuesday and a Wednesday. I'll be in London for that one. While there, we're more likely going to have an event for Cryptogenics for our European team members. So all of those that are in Sweden, Germany, the England, all of those countries out there. We've got 2.5 months. You guys can converge in London, and we have an event, Cryptogenics event there. So I'm just putting that out there in the space that that's taking place. Now tomorrow is Monday. Is tomorrow a holiday? And why are you home tomorrow again, Donovan? Why are you home tomorrow?
The president's birthday.
Oh, it's President's Day?
No.
President's birthday?
Yes.
Which one?
I don't know.
You guys don't go to work tomorrow? Is tomorrow a holiday? I have not worked a job so long. I don't have the... I remember when I did work a 9 to 5, I knew every single holiday because it was a day I didn't have to go to work. So I had those down on the calendar. But now I've been away from it for so long, I don't know the schedule. I know based on when my kids don't have to go to school. And I just found out today that my kid doesn't have to go to school tomorrow. I'm like, why? Well, what's going on? So I guess it's a holiday. But for those of you... Oh, yes, the 19th is President's Day. So what's going on tomorrow? Why are kids staying home tomorrow?
I don't know.
Maybe it might be local to my son's school. Maybe that's the case. So I guess it's not really a holiday. But here's the thing, guys. Well, happy birthday, Miguel. Here's the thing about Mondays. And definitely what we know about Sundays. Sundays night is the end of the weekend. And we're looking forward to getting ready for the new week. And we're like, oh man, I got to get up early tomorrow on Monday. And it's never looked upon as a great day. You look upon it as dread. Why? Because the rat race is going to continue. Groundhog's Day all over again. You wake up early on Monday morning before the sun comes up. You rush off to rush hour traffic to get to work, to go to a job you don't like, to work with people you can't stand, to eat lunch at 12 when you're hungry at 11, to ask for permission to go to the bathroom as if you are a child. To do this for 40 years of your life if you're lucky to have the same job for 40 years, knowing that you're going to retire broke depending on family, government, and friends by the age of 65. With no 401k, no pension, no savings. Your house is a liability and not an asset because you got 2 or 3 mortgages on it. You might have to look to get another job because you can't afford to retire in the first place. Entering the job market in your 70s now, competing with those that's graduated from college looking for a job for the first time. Willing to work harder than you and work for less. You may feel you have no hope, no way out. And that's a depressing situation to be in. But I'm here to tell you that there is hope. There is a way out. You are living in one of the greatest times in human history, where we have the greatest economic shift in wealth of the history of mankind taking place right now. And you know about it, where the majority of people out there don't even know it's taking place. So the question is, what are you going to do with this information? All it takes is making a decision. And when you make the decision, then taking action. It's not going to be easy, but it is simple. Just make a decision. Put your head down, have a game plan, and go to work. And for those of you who have absolutely no idea where to even begin, that's what Cryptogenics is all about. We're going to hold your hand as you walk into this space for the very first time. Teach you a new skill set that is actually going to benefit you as we enter this new world of the blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, to be able to change your finances not just for next week, but for your generations to come. You owe it upon yourself and your family to take action now, because this is a window of opportunity that will not be here in a few years. And the worst thing to have is regret, to have your kids 10 years from now say, why didn't you do anything during that whole crypto era when nobody knew about it? Why didn't you take advantage of it? How come you don't own at least one Bitcoin when it was worth only $8,000 back then? And you didn't do anything about it. Why not? It sucks to be on the wrong side of history. But it's not too late. So with that, thank you guys for listening tonight. Get ready for a brand new week. It's an exciting upcoming week. I'll see you all tomorrow morning for Crypto Talk. Bitcoin Brandon out. That is if there any major news that happens tomorrow morning. With that, Bitcoin Brandon out. God bless. Good night. Bye-bye.
Crypto Gen X.